Good morning. On this episode of the Charter School Connection podcast, I'm here with Brian Myrup from York Preparatory Academy in South Carolina. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We're excited to talk to you and learn a little more about you and about your school. So to start off with, how did you get involved in the charter school industry?
Yeah, going back, that would be about 20 years now. It's my 20th year working with charter schools. At the time, I was in Colorado. I was a 4th and 5th grade teacher at a rural school district out there. Loved it, and had started on my work on my master's degree. And on that degree, I was doing research for a paper on school choice and the futures in education, and ran across the idea of charter schools. As I started doing more research, I came across a school that was had a position as a curriculum and staff developer in Utah. And so we applied for that and got the job. And that was my first foray into the charter school realm. That was at Raegan Academy in Springville, Utah. And I was there for 10 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And then how did you end up in South Carolina from Utah?
Yeah, we took my team and I at Raegan made a lot of great progress for that school and took it from where it was and to a point where it was a perennially high performing school, and the school community there was just so awesome. And we started doing some work with supporting other charter schools and helping them to be able to use their data to individualize instruction. And I got called out to this school in South Carolina to do some work with them. While I was out here, they kind of made mention that they were kind of looking for another school leader, and it looked like a bigger challenge. It was a K through 12, more students, more diversity, and so we thought we could make a difference, and decided to move out here.
That's awesome. And so, how long have you been there?
This is my 10th year here.
That's awesome. That's a long time. And what makes York Prep unique?
I think there's a lot of things that are really special about this school. Number one, you have a chance to work in a partnership with parents and students from the time that they start kindergarten until they, pursue whatever their goals are post high school. So you are the only school that those kids are at, and you're their only shot to success. And so that's a challenge that we love, but also it's a benefit to us because we've got 13-year partnership and a 13-year kind of pathway and plan to get them to where they need to be. And so watching them grow, it's such an awesome thing. And the school's ability to uniquely target each student individually with their needs is certainly something that sets it apart from other schools that I've seen.
That's awesome. That's so nice to be in one spot and not have to change schools, especially if you have more than one kid and you're not having to drive them around. That makes it extra special. In your 10 years that you've been there, what challenges have you faced and how did you overcome them?
I think obviously the one that's most recent and always on top of mind for educators is the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We all dealt with that. I mean, as a community and as the world, that affected everybody. So for us, what we did was really just double down on the resources we had, which are our people, and we depended on the relationships that we had built, and really just pushed through that. We tried to get students back in school as soon as we could. Even if it was just hybrid at first and then moving into full return to school. But I think because of the relationships that we had already built and because of the teachers' ability to keep working individually with students, we were able to escape maybe some of the worst consequences of everything that we went through with schools. So it was good for us.
That's good. I don't think not many people can say it was good for them. So I'm glad you were able to find a way to
maybe I should qualify for that. It wasn't horrible for us.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. I think that's great though. It makes it extra special to know that you were able to find a way to make it through and able to feel like it was a good situation or as good as it could be. So how do you make sure you hire the right teachers?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You'll see that, there's always different opinions on this topic. One, it's, how much experience do they have previously teaching? It could be, what is their educational level, and what kind of degrees do they have? For me, there's just really one factor, and I hesitate to call it the it factor, but it really is kind of how we speak about it, and that is just if you see in their eyes and as you talk to them, there's just a contagious love for education and ability to think entrepreneurially about the challenges that are going to arise, because you can't prescribe to any staff or any teacher, this is how you have to teach. It just doesn't work that way with all the different challenges that each individual student will have. You have to have people who are willing to look at their effect each year and to think as an entrepreneur, how can I pull from my bag of tricks to help this kid? And it's almost like a mad scientist approach, and it takes a mad scientist mindset to be willing to do that.
That I definitely see that. I think that makes a big difference in the student's life also when the teacher's so involved like that. How do you make sure that all of the teachers are following your vision and the school's vision?
Yeah, we have what we call our teacher wellness program, and this predates the pandemic, although it came to its full fruition in the middle of the pandemic. And what we do is we have an area or a program that addresses multiple areas of stress. So studies will show that it's not pay that drives teachers out of the profession as much as it is feeling unsupported, as much as it is feeling alone, and they feel like it's them against the world. So our program, it addresses physical wellness, mental wellness, their financial wellness, and then what we call thriving in place. So we want to remove any external stressor, or at least support any external stressor, so that teachers will be able to focus on their students while they're here, and so that they'll have the energy to, like I said, take mad scientist approaches to education. And so we do that. We have an on-site 24-hour, 7-day-a-week gym for faculty that they can come. They can do a workout on their planning time. They can come before school. We have yoga classes after school that they can attend. That takes care of the physical wellness. We have instructional coaches here, 6 of them on campus right now. Then their job is to help teachers feel supported as they go about trying to figure ways to address their students' needs and help them so that they feel like they're thriving in place. We have social and emotional well-being opportunities, ways for them to get together out of a school setting with other teachers and with their coworkers, as well as mental health supports for those who need it. And then for finances, we've found that many incoming teachers, and even many of us who've been in the profession forever, we just don't know how to manage our money. We think so much about everybody else that we haven't really thought about ourselves. So we have budgeting classes. Our CFO is great. She'll help talk you through your retirement, talk you through, hey, I want to go back to school. How do I save for that? Or, hey, I'm coming up on needing to buy a new car. How do I save for that? And really just kind of help give some guidance there. And she'll do one-on-one meetings with teachers. So we hope, again, to be able to support them in all areas so that they're able to focus their energies on their students.
That's awesome. I feel like that's such a unique thing that a lot of places don't have. Have you noticed like increased teacher retention by having the wellness program at all?
We have, increased retention as well as increased in the recruiting that we do. So people who are interested in coming here, we always say if we can get somebody on campus, we know that we'll have them, because they'll see what we do and see what we have, and they'll realize, oh, this is unlike anywhere else that we've been.
That's awesome. What advice would you give to other administrators if they were looking to start up a wellness program like that?
That first thing is, I think, just like what we would want to do in a classroom, get to know the needs of the people that you work with, right? So, it would be, again, that's what our teachers need. Other teachers somewhere else might need something different.
Right.
So, if you live in the north, the Northwest, or if you live, where somewhere where there's snow, maybe they need support in shoveling their driveway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I grew up in Wyoming. I hated shoveling snow. So, it's just one of those things. If you find out the needs of what they have, and then target, again, think like a businessman, think like a mad scientist. How do I meet the needs of these teachers? And they'll feel supported. They'll feel heard, and they'll feel seen.
That's awesome. Other than the wellness program that was started in 2019, what other big changes have you seen in the school in the 10 years that you've been there?
I think for us, it's just the willingness of teachers to put in the amount of work that they do always impresses, and always, I don't want to say surprises me, because after 20 years, it's not really a surprise anymore, but it's always just such a good thing to see. So I think what's changed, over the course of, the time that I've been here, is the needs that students have. Those have changed. They change every single year. But the willingness and the ability of staff to go the extra mile, that's changed. On the downside, you've seen fewer people that are interested in becoming teachers. That's a change. I think that's probably a national thing. It's not just South Carolina, as well as the preparation that they come into seeing, right? So in society, there's been a little bit of a downgrade in how we treat each other. A little bit of a downgrade in how we interact when we have differences of opinion. So none of that were things that we dealt with in schools even 10 years ago. So it's all new.
It's constantly changing, but you can tell you definitely care for your teachers, and I'm sure they feel supported. So you said because you are a K through 12 school, you have like an extra close connection with the families and the students. How do you encourage those relationships with the parents?
Yeah, I think the best way to build relationships is to increase the ratio of meaningful experiences to ones that aren't as good, right? So we take every opportunity that we can to create meaningful experiences, whether that's something that we do on site as events, or whether that's how we handle a difficult circumstance that would arise with a student, such as misbehavior, or maybe they're not doing as well as they want to. And in those moments, we like to kind of operate on kind of a 3-word agreement. The first one is trust, so that we trust that everybody involved in that process has the same end goal in mind, which is the success of that child. We hope that by working together instead of separately, that we will get to that point, and then we grant grace to each other for the mistakes that we'll make along the way, whether it's putting our foot in our mouth and saying something we shouldn't, or trying something that didn't work. Either way. And I think when you do that, you're going to build that sense of community a whole lot faster.
I love that. That's so inspiring. What tips do you have for anybody looking to go into charter school administration?
I think charter school administration is so much different than traditional school, because you have to wear multiple hats. So I would say be familiar with school finance, be familiar with school law, be familiar with charter school law, specifically in the area in which you live. The reason being that if you're going to take mad scientist approaches, you have to know what the boundaries are, right? So if you know the fence that you can play in, then make sure that you know exactly where the fence is, and then take any and all actions within that fence to help achieve success for your families and for your students. So if you're aware of those things, understand that you'll be working with a board, a school board directly, and the relationship between the board and the school is an important one. that they should be aware of before they accept any administrator job, because you're only as successful as your board allows you to be. And so I've been blessed with a great board here, and great people that I worked with at Raegan Academy in Utah as well. So I know how that influences a school.
That's great. That's really good. That's really good advice that I'm sure anybody can learn from. When you were talking about knowing your local laws and local restrictions, have you noticed that it's gotten better or worse for charter schools?
It seems like it's always in flux, right? So in South Carolina, we have the Charter Act, which kind of gives us and defines our flexibility.
Mhm.
And you'll have with the proliferation in charters nationally, right? You've got fans of charters and people who aren't fans.
Yeah.
And so depending on who has their ear at the moment, you could have restrictions on funding and restrictions on autonomy, or you can have it expand. And so, for me, I think it's just trying to be a good actor
Mhm.
in the education space, build relationships, in the community, and try to show that for those who are willing to do it correctly, there can be good benefits to school choice, and I think that's really the key.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's great. That's great. If you could go back in time to 20 years ago when you first started at Raegan Academy, what would you change about things that you've done? Is there anything you've changed that you learned from that you're like, that never worked, or things that you wish you would have done differently?
I have all kinds of things that I think back. I'm like, man, I wish I had known that back then. But to be honest, I think that's part of my discovery process. I don't think I would. I don't think I would have had the experiences without all of the highs and lows. I wouldn't have changed. I mean, obviously the staff that was there at Raegan, just amazing people. Justin Riggs, who was my assistant director there, and he came all the way from Atlanta to Utah to come and work, and just the hours the two of us spent playing mad scientists as we tried to figure out how to structure things. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I think over the past 20 years, our trials are what make us, and the things we learn. If we're willing to be positive and if we're willing to do the right things, when you're faced with a challenge, you shouldn't have regrets.
I think that's such a great answer and such a good way to look at things. If now we were talking about going in the past, but now looking 10 years in the future, 10 years down the line at York Prep, what are you hoping to see change in the next 10 years, let's say?
Well, a big project we're working on right now is connecting in a more detailed way with local technical colleges and local businesses. We want our students, when they leave York Prep, to be miles ahead of where they could be in whatever their desired pursuit is, right? So if we have a more direct link with business, so you have students, right now we had one who graduated last year with a certificate in mechatronics. And
Oh, wow.
he wasn't going to go to college. That wasn't his goal. But he had multiple job offers waiting for him on the day he graduated, where he could step in and start making a living wage. We've had kids who do that with welding, with coding, you name it. But at the same time, we have those who want to go to four-year college who leave here with an associate's degree already, and so they step right into third year of college. And so I want to have more detailed ties to local businesses and to higher education, so that those pathways are even smoother. And we're starting to help prepare those kids in middle school and elementary to have the life skills necessary to succeed in those pathways.
That's awesome. What do you do to give them those skills or to help encourage those skills?
We had an awesome project last year. With our parents, we said, what are the skills that kids today who graduate high school don't have that they should? And we actually came up with a list with our parents of about 30 skills that include everything from knowing how to change a tire and check the fluid levels on your car, to knowing how to plan for and cook, meals that are nutritional in value. And then also, of course, skills like understanding, workplace behavior and the commitments you make when you step into a job. There was a list of 30 that we built, and we actually have created a class just like you would go to PE or music in the past. We now have a life skills class that starts in kindergarten and goes up till 10th grade that teaches all of these in a sequential, hands-on fashion.
Awesome.
I mean, they're going to actually be out there changing tires.
That's awesome.
They'll be with models. They'll be unclogging sink drains, like all kinds of stuff. By the time they graduate, they should have those skills.
That is awesome. I love that, especially like seeing the things that my kids are not learning in school. I love hearing that you have that as an option. I would definitely want my kids in that class. I think it's so beneficial for the younger generations to have that. That's awesome. We're going to wrap it up here shortly, but do you have any books that you would recommend people reading, especially charter school administrators?
Yeah, for sure. My books that I love right now. I have Teach Like a Champion, which is a great book by Doug Lemov. I'm looking at my bookshelf, which ones that are on my to-do list. Good to Great, Jim Collins. That's a great book for anybody, not just school administrators. Right now, you've got Anything by John Hattie is great for educators, talking about all of these things all the studies that have been done and the effects and kind of highlighting what things you can do have the highest effect. That's great. And then a non-book or a non-educational book, Born to Run, is a very inspiring book. I love it. I've done some marathons and triathlons, and just a very inspirational book.
Yeah, I've read that one too. That one's a great one. So before we end, do you have any final advice or questions I didn't ask that you want to share answers to, or last minute advice for charter school administrators, or anything that I forgot to ask that you would like to share?
I mean, I think we don't talk enough, right? I think, there's connections that need to be made, and I appreciate, y'all reaching out to us, because, any connections that we can make within the industry, and anything we can learn from each other is only going to benefit our approaches, right? You can imagine, people trying to develop, the artificial heart, or trying to develop, space shuttles in a silo. It just doesn't happen. They use everybody's work and everybody's research. We sometimes try to do our own stuff in a silo, and I think that's a detriment.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If people are interested to learn more about your wellness program or your life skills classes, could they reach out to you or visit yorkprepsc.org?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So if you go to yorkprepsc.org, my contact information is on there. I'd love to talk to anybody who has questions, or I'd love to hit them up about what they're doing good too. Yeah. So reach out.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It was so great talking to you and learning a little bit more about you and about York Prep SC. So
awesome.
Have a great day.
Again. And let me know where I can get a copy. My mom always loves to see these.
I definitely will. I will let you know for sure.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.